Welcome, everybody, to the Edward Jones Reporter's Inbox. I am live at Salt River Fields of Talking Stick. I'm Thomas Harding, your Colorado Rockies beat reporter, and I thank you guys for sending in all kind of questions about your Rockies team for 2019. So let's get straight to them. This is from Caleb. Arenado Goat is his Twitter handle, so I think he really likes Nolan Arenado, the third baseman for the Rockies. When will we see Brendan Rodgers? July? Only if McMahon and Hampson fail? Interesting about Rodgers, the number one prospect for the Rockies, number 10 on the MLB pipeline list of prospects. This is a guy that has all the tools, but right now you look at Ryan McMahon and Garrett Hampson. They're playing quite well at second base here, so Rodgers has a little bit more development time. The key for me with him is, can he play all of the positions in the infield, specifically shortstop? If something happens to Trevor Story, is he ready for the Rockies to turn to as a starter for a period of time? So whether he starts the season in the big leagues or not, what you want is for him to be big league ready at some time. He may need some time at AAA. Albuquerque, simply because he played just a little there at the end of last season, but I think with the talent he should be ready as soon as possible, and it's not necessarily a case of the Rockies needing him, just him needing to be ready. Now, my next question is from Elliot Goldbaum. Is Ryan McMahon the front runner for starting at second base at this stage, or will it really be a straight platoon with him and Garrett Hampson, depending on whether the starting pitcher is left-handed or right-handed? I like the way this is developing at second base. Garrett Hampson's playing very good baseball. You can see him defensively, able to move around the field, able to hit for some power. And, of course, Ryan McMahon, power was his calling card coming up through the minors. So you've got two guys that can play pretty well at the position. I think that what Bud Black can do is he can platoon based on the starting pitcher, but he also can platoon based on who is hot at that time, and also those guys are able to move from position to position there. So if, say, Nolan Arenado needs a day off, then McMahon could start at third base. Or say they need some help in center field where Hampson's speed is a plus for him. They can move him out there. Hampson can play in the middle of the diamond for a day or two also. So you've got guys that give Bud Black options. As long as they're both doing well, they're going to see a lot of time. Hey, it's the National League. Guys come off the bench all the time as pinch hitters and then stay in the game. So I don't really look at this as a competition for just one position where the other guy just sits there the whole time. Bud Black is good at rotating his players in, so I think that's what we'll see out of these guys as long as they keep producing the way they have in the early part of spring. This from Zach McCoy. Who is the sleeper to be the MVP of the Rockies this year? Well, I don't even know if he's a sleeper, but I really like Trevor Story. One of the reasons why I like him is he does everything. He plays defense, he hits for power, and I think with DJ LeMahieu having left to go to the New York Yankees on that 2-year, $24 million contract, Story becomes more of a leader. You can see the leadership skills that he has. He's going to have a young second baseman with him, and you can see him ushering those guys in. Also, he's a very intense player. He did some things down the stretch for the Rockies, and I think he will make a difference for them. The other guy I'll look at is David Dahl. I really see an all-star in that bat of his, and he has that personality to be a star-type player. But this will be his first full season in the major leagues, but in the little snippets we've seen in 2016 and 2018, he's provided some power, and he's been able to do it at the right times of games. Okay, any early front runner for the 8th inning setup role? I like the job that Scott Oberg did last year going down the stretch with his team. He was probably their best relief pitcher, actually, in August and September. Seungwon Oh also was very good, and Oh has been a closer in the major leagues. Right now, Oh is recovering from a little bit of a neck strain that he received sleeping on a pillow wrong. He did change his pillow, so that could help him. I think either one of those guys would be fine. Maybe you would go with Oberg out of the gate. The one thing about Oh, though, and one of the reasons why I like him some in the 8th inning role is that he has a long history as a closer in Japan and Korea earlier in his career. Now, Oberg was a closer all throughout the minor leagues, so I think either way with those guys, but maybe right now Scott Oberg because of health, and he's really pitched well early in spring training. Okay, this is from Todd Parkhurst. Is Brian Shaw going to figure it out? How long is his rope, and what do the Rockies do with him if he doesn't? Listen, Brian Shaw has a long track record in the major leagues. I mean, there was a long period for a relief pitcher, you got to understand that those guys tend to be up and down. But Brian Shaw pitched well for a long time for the Cleveland Indians, and yes, he struggled his first year at Coors Field, but a lot of people have had bad years with the Rockies at Coors Field. It can be a difficult place to pitch. He's only thrown a few times in spring training right now. This is a guy that it takes him a while to get ready for the season, so I'm not even going to judge the results down here. I know based on last year, the Rockies fans are really anxious to see him do well, but he had an ERA somewhere around 10 with the Cleveland Indians during the Cactus League, so that doesn't necessarily portend a bad year for him. This is a guy who worked on his stuff. I mean, the cutter that he has is a really devastating pitch. Couldn't quite get it right last season, but if he finds the spot for it, he'll be used 70 to 80 times this year for the Rockies. Next, Darian Tebby, who will likely be the 4 bench players when camp breaks. Boy, is that a battle here, because Ramel Tapia has played quite well for them in the outfield, and with Hampson's ability to move out there, they may not need more than 4 outfielders when they break here. You also look at one of the 2 at second base will be coming off the bench each game, whether it's Ryan McMahon or Garrett Hampson. The other guy that I'm thinking about here, Mark Reynolds, they signed him to be a guy off the bench, and you look at a long big league track record with him. Hits a lot of home runs. Hey, he hit a lot for the Rockies when he was their first baseman for 2 years. But what we're also seeing is Pat Valleca's bat wake up again. In 2017, he set records as a pinch hitter for home runs and RBIs, especially as a rookie. And then last season, nothing worked out for him. He got hurt during spring training, an oblique injury. It put him behind the 8 ball. This year, he's hitting well. He's hitting guys that he's never seen before here in Cactus League play. So I think there's going to be a battle for that last spot. Now, as a Rangers fan, I was wondering how Chichi Gonzalez was doing this spring. If healthy, what do the Rockies hope to get out of him? Possibly spot emergency starter? That's the first question from Monica here. And I think that Monica... you're right. This guy has some ability. You've seen him at the major league level, but the Rockies are very deep in the starting pitching. Jeff Hoffman has shown well in camp this year. Antonio Senzatella also, who's battling for a role. We don't know if there'll be enough roles for the guys that they have here, but Chichi Gonzalez can be one of those guys. And if he begins the season in AAA and they do have an emergency, this is a guy who could come at the major league level and really a slow heartbeat guy. He's able to handle it, and who knows how big the game will be when they do call his name. Daniel Murphy, where will he hit in the batting order? If they bat Nolan Arenado second behind Charlie Blackmon, expect to see Murphy third as they go right, left, right, out of the gate and further down. Also, what does John Gray need to do for a bounce-back season? It's just simply be John Gray. Don't press in the big situations. And he has done it for a pretty good period of time here. I know last year there were some bad games, but really most of the games were pretty good. And finally, do you think Airman Marquez will be a 20-game winner this year? That's a good question, because almost nobody wins 20 games in the big leagues. Kyle Freeland had one of the best years in Rockies history. He won 17. The Rockies have never had one. But does Marquez have the ability to do so? Yes. He, Freeland, and Gray all have the ability to win that many games. So, listen, thank you very much for your questions on Twitter. And please follow me as the season goes, and follow the Rockies on MLB.com.